I get shit done, I have fun. It's my time and I'm the one. I'm breaking through.
The challenge of eliminating video voodoo. What the heck is video voodoo? Well, hang out with us for about 30 minutes and you'll find some things about what the heck video voodoo is. But in the meantime, if you're watching us live today, thank you for being here. Appreciate it. If you're catching this on the replay, remember hashtag replay, and please share this out with your friends and relatives in your community if you see some value in it. Now it's my opportunity to give myself a shameless plug with the coaching organization that I'm involved with. So here we go. Have you ever had a question about your business that you couldn't seem to get an answer to? Well, you're in luck today. If you would like to ask a business coach a question, perhaps around time, team, money, or exit strategy, you can do that today. Just reach out to Phil at coachphil.ca. The address will be up later at the end of the show today, at the end of this episode. And then you can, if you don't recall what that is, you can capture it there. Or if you're watching it on a replay, it'll be there forever. And it's a complimentary session. There's no credit card required. We don't need your firstborn or anything like that. It's just 20 minutes. If I don't have the answer to your question, well, the good news is I'm part of a global community of other focal point business coaches, some really talented people. I was reminded of that when I was in New Orleans for our annual conference, the first one we'd had in a long time. So enough about the commercial. Let's get into video voodoo and the challenge of eliminating it. My guest here is an expert. He comes from years of, actually 4 decades of being in the video producer, director, writer, editor for major Fortune 500 companies. He actually helps leaders, entrepreneurs, and business owners get out of their own way and get amazing results with their videos and getting rid of the voodoos of video-ness. He lives in Florida, so he doesn't get much snow, as far as I know. Has hurricanes, and they're in the playoffs right now. So that's a kind of a good hurricane. I can't wait any longer. I'm going to bring Roy Varner up right now. Good day, Roy. Thanks for being here.
Well, thank you for inviting me into your world.
Well, we've been in each other's world for a while, and
Yep.
you've been an ally of mine, a pain in the neck ally, in a good way, by the way, around video voodoo, although you didn't call it that. You just gave me some great tips. And when I go live on these sessions, I hear your voice in my head going, keep your eye on the camera, keep your eye on the camera. So it worked. Most days, there's some days I get distracted and I go into my place.
Well, we don't need perfection. We're just trying to be better.
Yeah, so I have gotten better at paying attention at the camera. I have if you understand the behavioral sciences things like DISC, I have the I and then a D. So the I is influencer, life of the party, likes and loves everybody most of the time, and likes to be liked by everybody. And I really like to watch what people are doing and saying, but the camera's up here. So I need to look at this. So for the experience here, it looks like I'm looking at you. Whereas here, I get to know what you're doing and reacting. So that's been a struggle for me. Anyway, we're going to get some tips from you about how to do some crazy, better things and have your voice in other people's heads today too. I hope anyway, in a good way. Before we get started, I want to acknowledge my friend, Randy Chaffee. He's a road warrior extraordinaire. He's about our vintage, but an amazing individual, and he pops in frequently and supports what I do. So thanks, Randy, for showing up, and good morning to you. So how did you get into video 40 years, 4 decades ago? Pardon me, it sounds like a smaller number when I say decades, right? Because I do the same thing.
Well, I was calling around for business. I started my own business, having left several others, IBM and some others. And I contacted Shell Oil Company and called their training department and said, I'm here. What can I do for you? And they said, well, we need some Autoscan projects done. I said, sure, let's go. Had no idea what Autoscan was. So when I left there, I feverishly called around and looked in dictionaries. They didn't have internet at the time. So I found out what it was. It was just film strip. So I take pictures, I put graphics on them, do a film strip, write it, fine. I dove into that. That evolved in over a period of 2 years into a $400,000 project in the summer of shooting 30 different training videos, traveling around the country for Shell. And that really launched my video business. And I had a degree in college in radio, TV, film, but that was my first real immersion in it. And once I got into that, I realized there was a lot of need for video, and for better video than most people were doing. The talking face, the talking head video. That wasn't working then. It doesn't work now.
You know what I like about that, Roy, is that without saying it, you just talked about what's one of the keys to being an entrepreneur. You hear a problem, identify that there is, find out what it is, do your research, and then come up with a way to solve the problem.
Right.
So without even saying that's what a definition, one of the definitions of an entrepreneur is, you did that today. That reminds me of me. And it reminds me of the Brian Tracy's of the world. I know Brian, and one of the stories he's talked about, and I've heard it many times, that is kind of what you did, not about film, but he was working with organizations, and they were telling him, okay, because he working with them as either a volunteer, like in a director, not a director, chamber of commerce, and he'd volunteer there, and people get to know him, and they'd be complaining about something, and they'd ask, he'd start the conversation and ask them what they were challenged with, and he says, well, time management. Do you know anybody in that area? He says, oh yeah, I actually specialize in that. Right? And then he went and created the course. He learned how to do the video. Yeah, that's cool. So
well, I had another big jump in my career that was just like that too. I was put my shingle out as a writer and had a guy come to me, and he said he wanted me to write his life story.
Wow.
And I said, okay, let's do it. 2 weeks later, he sits down and says, it wasn't about me. I was checking you out to see if you were up to the task. He said, I was in the CIA, and I recruited all of the people for the CIA's Hughes Glomar Explorer mission to raise a Russian submarine secretly under the aegis of Howard Hughes. Wow. And I said, what? He said, yeah, let me tell you the story. And it ended up, I wrote the book, but then I found out there were 5,000 manuscripts under the stairwell at Random House waiting to eventually get somewhere. And I said, well, that's not going to work. So I just picked up the phone. I called in to the secretary of the editor, and I said, listen, I've got something that just can't go in a pile. This is urgent, and I've got 3 publishers that are interested in it. I need him to look at this. They did. We got it published by Random House. And the only way we did it was just, I refused to think that I was stuck in that dilemma. And I took a shortcut and assumed it was going to work, and it did. You never know if it's going to work until you try it.
So what I like about that is success likes action, right? Take action, follow what it is you do. Don't stand in line, but in ethically, and take charge and follow your dream and follow your passion.
Right.
I don't think we're going to get through everything we want to talk to today, and and we have a slide deck that we might get to. We might have to have you come back, because this is kind of on a beautiful, wonderful tangent about getting shit done. You heard that in my theme song, right?
Yeah.
And that's really what I'm excited about sharing, is people like you, is the story and the messages that you have available for all of us out there who's watching it today or 5 years from today. Because what we know about the internet is, once it's there, it's there. for the most part, right?
Well, every big leap in my career has been that same thing. I'll tell you another one real quickly. I went into Browning Ferris, which is a big recycling and waste management company in Houston. And I called the training director and said, I'm ready to do training for you. And he said, well, I've got a contract on my desk. I'm getting ready to sign for a customer service program. And I said, is it an off the shelf? Yep. And he said, well, I can do it custom for less. He said, well, come in and talk, but I'm supposed to sign this tomorrow. So I went in and we talked, and I explained to him, I said, you don't want off the shelf. That has nothing to do with your people. That's generic. They won't react to that. Let's shoot a bunch of videos with your people. Let's use your people in your different areas and so on. Long story short, $1.2 million project over about 10 months. And that led to 20 years of business with that company and other companies where my main contact went to. So you don't accept no. You dive in and say, I can do it. Let me show you how I can do it better. In fact, the only way that'll work for you.
You know what? That's cool about that idea is changing the no to no. What the hell do you mean by that, Phil? Well, it's not the NO no, it's that they don't know what they don't know. So the KNOW no. You
Right.
educated them, added value, and they went, oh, I didn't even know I could do that. Let's go ahead. And that is, to me, a simple definition of what professional selling is. We do ask questions and we do provide solutions, but it leads with value. It's that their life is going to be better because they were hanging out with us for a little bit, whatever it is we're doing. And because of that, their life is better. And that can be measured by more money, more time, whatever it is, but their life is better. So that's what I like about what I heard there is by going in there and doing that. Yes, you got taken care of, but first of all, you took care of them. That's what I like about that.
Yep.
So do we dare jump into the title of the show today is getting rid of the video voodoo. So I guess we should talk about that. Although I'm really tripping on this dialogue that we've got going here. It's your call.
Well, it's really, it relates the same way because
Okay.
what people are doing out there in video today, and over 80% of the people are using video to sell. So video is critical. You have to have video to compete, and you've got to have it to build your brand. You've got to make your conversions go higher, and then you have to use it in your programs to transform people so they get what they paid for. But what's blocking so many entrepreneurs from success is they've got all these different silly distractions that they're doing. And half the challenge of marketing your business is getting yourself out of the way. And by that, I mean that you have to go ahead and change that for me, would you? Yep. The typical entrepreneur unknowingly allows over 24 distractions in his or her videos and live online presentations. And what happens is you just chase people away. They look at that and they say, well, this person's an amateur. This person's not a professional. So I call the distractions video voodoos because they will curse your sales and they'll haunt your business. And so you can go ahead and change that one.
I just want to stop here just for a sec. I will.
Yeah.
But you said something that I say differently, but it's the same. We're talking about video, so I'm not going to not talk about that. If there's this fuzzy understanding in the sales conversation, whether it's on video or off video, if there's a fuzzy understanding, the decision that most people take is not to do anything with you because they don't feel comfortable about it. Mm-hmm. That's all I want to add to that.
Well,
so on video, I think that gets magnified even more. So
yeah, it does. It gets magnified because what happens is you have all these distractions away from being seen as the go-to expert in your field. That's what you want to be, right?
Right.
And everybody says, well, you got to have authority, credibility, and trust. Yeah, but if you get away the amateur stuff, move that out of the way, get yourself looking and sounding good, get a good, clean background, you get all the pieces put together, people will give you authority and trust and credibility because you look like the go-to expert in the field. And that's what's cool about video is anybody with the right kind of help can get rid of these voodoos. Now, this is one example. What's wrong with this picture? The lettering's backward. People forget to switch it. And it's a silly mistake because you can go in your smartphone or in your camera or in any other application. You can grab a picture and flip it manually. So there's no reason for this kind of thing. And yet so many people put it out there and they think it's okay. It says to me, this isn't my guru. I'm moving on. Next one. What's wrong with this picture? Well, lighting is a terrible problem that most people have. And what they do is they allow light to be behind the person, distracting. You want the person's face to be the brightest and clearest and sharpest thing in the room. That way, attention goes to the face and attention goes to your line of reasoning, your emotional appeal, and the logic to take people to the call to action. So to have something like this where the light is behind it and it fuzzes the face, you've killed the connection. We don't relate now to this person. By the way, that's my wife who very generously, I should say, offered to do all of these befores and afters too.
Well, I want to add to this as well, because
yes,
as you know, there was a preamble we had before we pushed the button and went live, right? It's about a 15-minute window. And in most cases, that's plenty. But one of the reasons why I do it is because your voice is in my head. And
Jiminy Cricket, is that what you're saying on your show?
Yeah, Jiminy Cricket.
Yeah.
Look at the camera. But there's also some other things that you've shared as well. And I've been paying attention to what you say and some other things that make sense to me from other sources. And one of the ones that I'm seeing here is I do a sound check and a lighting check and a Wi-Fi check and an internet check as best we can in the 15 minutes. Because of what made me think of this is what's wrong with this picture is it's a silhouette. And I had a guest, it's a brilliant guest, a brilliant message and some beautiful art. And the first time we tried to do this, it was this, among other things. So we actually had to reschedule because his internet wasn't good enough. But the backlighting was he was like a silhouette. So yeah, that's what I wanted to add to that.
Yeah, and it's very common. And even the big gurus do it too. They make a lot of mistakes.
Oh, I know what's wrong with this one.
Uh-oh.
It's out of focus.
I have several friends that I am struggling to get them to quit doing this. Nobody wants to see the ceiling unless you're in the Sistine Chapel or someplace where you're showing the ceiling is the main thing.
Oh,
most people who take selfies, especially vertical selfies, will have their head in the bottom part and lots of space up here. Your eyes should be a third of the way down from the top of the picture. That's all you need to know about good photography.
I'm just measuring myself. I think I'm okay today.
See, I'm about a third of the way down, but I have a hat on, so I have to make sure that shows. So that affects it a little bit. But if you're a third of the way down, it looks natural and normal to people. Otherwise, at least subconsciously, they say, I don't really want to see all that much ceiling and wall behind somebody.
Right.
Next one. Writing on a flip chart. Waste time. You make mistakes. You can't see it. This is amateurish. You prepare your graphics ahead of time. If they're on a whiteboard, well, that's fine. But prepare them. Peel off all of your stuff already neatly written and worked. Make it work for graphics. And don't waste people's time. That's one of the biggest turnoffs to people when you go to webinars and presentations that are supposed to be full of wonderful stuff. They'll waste your time on graphics and things like this.
I want to go back to that one just for a sec.
Yeah.
What if you do it with a whiteboard and you're interacting that way?
Well, but see what she's doing? She's turning her back to you, right?
Yeah.
So every time you look away from somebody's eyes, it needs to be on what you're talking about, something important that draws their attention. If you don't have it there, you turn your back to them, you lose eye contact and connection with people. It's not a good way to communicate. It's an unnecessary process.
I'm not suggesting that style. I'm suggesting and I was just looking to see if this platform does it. And it doesn't, but on another one that I use for actually my delivering of coaching and facilitating training,
right?
I have the ability to use the whiteboard that's there. Don't like it that much. Or I can access an iPad, and I'll still be on camera. People can see what I'm doing, but they can also see me doing what I'm writing at the same time.
Well, again, I think it's a slower way to do it. If you had some of that prepared ahead of time that you had handwritten, that you could save and show as images.
That works if you want to stay to a script. But if it's interactive and you're asking questions,
right?
That's where I actually use it. So we're going to debate this one. This is good, right?
Well, I think if you do it professionally and quickly, that's fine.
Yeah.
It's dragging this out and making mistakes, and you can't even read her words because the pen is dying. You know, that's the sloppy way to do it. If you do it professionally and you turn for eye contact at key points, you can pull it off. Sure.
Yeah. Cool.
Next one.
I'm just finding the button. Hang on there, buddy.
Hello button.
There you go.
All right. Backgrounds. One of
Yes.
the most common things is people's backgrounds are so cluttered and more interesting than the people that they snap out of your flow of your ideas and your logic. And understand that people react and make decisions emotionally in sales and everything else. They
Oh,
make the
absolutely.
decision emotionally, and then they logically justify it to themselves, not to anybody else, that, yeah, I made a good decision. I didn't throw away a bunch of bucks. Backgrounds are so interesting to people. They get emotionally involved in them. They get connected to things that they like and that they see,
You get
and you've
distracted.
lost them, because the power of video is for them to stay in your emotional thread and follow you, and their needs build up bigger and bigger and bigger as you talk about what their problems are and needs. So when you give them a solution, they're ready to go. It's urgent to them now. When they snap out of your line of thinking and your emotional line, they lose it. They start all over. They go to the background, and it's like you haven't been talking to them for the last 10 minutes.
Yeah.
They're lost in the background. It's a common thing that a lot of people do. They have things growing out of their heads, you know, plants and frames and things. You don't need that. The background should be neutral and generally lighter. I mean, darker than your face, so that your face is the lightest part in the scene. And the background can be warm and colors and different things, but it needs to be something that you can look at in a couple of seconds, and you've scoped it out, and now you're ready to listen to the person that's talking.
I like everything you said there with a twist. Is that okay?
Yes.
And the twist is people don't buy what they need. And you use the word need in there. I would debate that in a friendly way, is that they buy what they want. So when they see
Right.
the distraction, they move towards what's emotionally, I totally agree with that. We're 100% emotional, and
Yeah.
then we're 100% logical once we've decided that this is what we emotionally connects with.
Right.
us, right?
Right.
And it's the emotion that drives us to the end result we want. If we don't have the desire to do something, we won't do it, whether that's dropping weight or buying a product or clicking
Exactly.
on a link, right?
Well,
So-
I learned in 3 months of IBM training, I learned very well that when you get them to start picking the color of the computer, you got them.
Oh, absolutely.
And
Yeah, it's an activity close.
Yep.
Okay, next slide. And I agree with the distraction. It was one of the things in my head when you jumped in and
No, I mean, you have a different background, and we will come at the same thing from different ways, but it's still valid. We still get the idea.
I'm giving you kudos though.
Good.
The
I'll
voice
take
in
it.
my head was also about the background that I used to have.
Boy.
My backgrounds have improved immensely. Are they perfect yet? No, but they're a lot better than what they were. And I find that, I've been doing this now on this particular platform for about 2 years.
Yeah.
And I've had somebody say, and it was kind of a backwards compliment. They said, "Wow, you're getting really good at this." I'm thinking, well, I certainly wouldn't want to be getting worse at this for doing it for 2 years. So it was a compliment. So
Exactly.
anyway, next slide.
Black and white. Don't use either one of them any more than you can. If you use them, you do exactly what you're doing now, is you have a lighter background or medium tone background that makes it work. For a lot of women, their hair disappears into a black background, but you lose detail in the black and the white is blown out. You can't have perfect white detail and perfect black detail in the same shot. It's best to not even wear it.
Oh, so what's the clothing? Okay, so you know why I go to black?
No.
Because the other shirts I have all have patterns in them. And
Yeah.
what's worse than black is
Patterns
having
are
a
not
pattern
good.
or a stripe. You get a Mori effect.
Patterns
And
and bright colors and flowers and anything like that. I mean, remember that the whole point of the picture you're trying to create, and you should be creating a signature picture like you're doing, a signature that is yours, uniquely yours.
Yeah,
But
so
it's supposed to draw attention to your face, therefore to what you're saying and to your message. That's how you set up a set. Anything else in there that distracts from that, they're voodoos, they'll drive people away.
Yeah, and I've tried different colored solid shirts, and they didn't work out really well with the
Well,
lighting.
medium tones are best.
Yeah.
Grays, browns,
So
blues.
I'm branding
Anything.
myself as a guy in black.
Yeah,
So I would wear a black collared shirt,
yeah.
but it's our long weekend coming up here, and I want to be casual Phil today, so I'm casual
Okay,
Phil.
there you go.
Yeah,
All
but
right,
it's still the black.
let's see the next one. Well, no,
I'm going.
the black is okay, like I said, because of the way you've treated the background.
Yeah.
All right, this is the last one I want to show, and my wife set this up. There's actually a dozen different things wrong with this picture,
Yeah, the
but
laundry's not done.
let me hit a few quickly. Don't broadcast out of your bedroom. It isn't professional. It's too casual. It's COVID, but it's not professional coach that people want to pay money for. The
Yeah.
bathroom door is open. The laundry is sit baskets there. The laundry basket's on the chair. The shirt hanging on there. I had two people when I showed this. I said, "Boy, I've been staring at that shirt. I wonder what is that?" And the little cat on the side that's in green, and the junk on the side, and her shirt, and the glare in her glasses, and her face is not properly doesn't properly have the right light on it, so it blows it out, right?
Right.
So there's a bunch of things wrong with this picture, and it just points out that until you get these amateur mistakes out of the way, people are not going to accept you as the pro that they want to come and spend $2, $3, $5, $10,000 on to get them their solution. That's it.
So if you wanted to learn more about what Roy's talked about today, because this is only a few minutes, I've had him in my head for at least a year. And it's not every day that he shows up. It's just the message he sent. I did pay attention to it.
Good for you, man.
And it's gotten better a little bit every time. I'm doing less of this because now I'm looking at you. You look good, by the way. I like that room. I've been in that room before. I have that same room.
Yeah, well, Elon Musk may let everybody use it. I just asked him if I could borrow it for a few minutes.
Exactly. Anyway, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. When I'm speaking to you, the audience, my eyes need to be there. And the other thing, I do have a mic, but I try not to have it block my face.
Yeah, it's a good idea to keep it just above the screen.
That's normally where it lives.
Yep,
And
just right there.
it works out pretty good most
You
of
did
the time.
that
I've seen
well.
some people where they have the mic there and it does cut off of their face, even down here.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was very informative. It was a good reminder for me
yep.
that I'm doing some things okay. I'm getting better and room for improvement on others. And I definitely don't leave my laundry out on camera. It's in behind the green screen.
Good for you. Yeah, and this address here is to get a free PDF that shows you 5 top trending distractions that you need to know about and you need to avoid like the plague.
Right.
It's really a useful little thing for you.
And it kind of looks like this. I'm going to bring that up here if I can figure out how to. There we go. Wasn't
Yep.
that hard?
Just
It
grab
looked
it.
like this. So to make sure that if you've got this spelt right, because this isn't a hyperlink in the video,
Right.
type it out correctly. This is where you end up. And then, yes, to get the 5, you need to give your name and address. And he promises not to sell your address or send you
Nope.
spammy stuff. It's just
Nope.
5 pieces of great value.
Absolutely. And then if anybody is stuck with their video and really needs some guidance on what do I do? How do I get going? I have free chats just like Coach Phil does. I have free chats. Just go to my scheduler, pick a time. We'll talk. I won't twist your arm. I'll listen to you. I'll tell you the main voodoos I think you need to get rid of and think about. And then I'll give you some direction in the 5 critical areas that make video really work for you.
Cool. Very cool. And thanks for that. There we are. We're back.
Well, like I said, I appreciate being inside your world, Phil. It's a pretty neat world that you've developed. You've earned it, pal.
It's a lot of fun hanging out and learning from people from all over the world. It's
Yep.
amazing.
Yep.
There's some wonderful, wonderful people. Speaking of wonderful, let's just put that up there while we're both here. Normally I wait until the end of the show, but it seems I've already said the word 3 times. Let's go there.
Wonderful.
Let's be wonderful because you and you and you are all truly wonderful. A mentor of mine about 4 decades ago maybe 5 even, introduced me to this concept. And it was one of his teaching principles when he was, some people have heard of the movie The Secret and heard the law of attraction, all that kind of stuff. And I don't want to take away from that. What I do want to do is talk about Leland Val Vanderwall, who came up with this introduction to me and everybody else that took his training. He was teaching that stuff before it was popular. Matter of fact, when we're going through his sessions, much like your voice is in my ear, so is his. And he said, when you learn this stuff, he said, you've been hanging out with me for a little bit. You've got some really exciting ideas, and you're going to go out to other people, but you don't know it well enough to communicate what you've heard today. And he says, when you start talking to them, you're going to burn them with your enthusiasm. So I don't want you to sunburn anybody. So I caution you just to be quiet. Don't talk about this experience. Well, I didn't heed what he said. I sunburned people, and they were looking at me with, ooh, what are you doing? It's really weird. But now it's a popular topic. 4 decades ago, now it is more popular today, more receptive by most people. So wonderful. Act like your unique self, because each one of us is uniquely different and truly wonderful. So by you being on the show today, you added some of your wonderfulness and shared it with us. I appreciate that. It was a reminder for me in and around this space. It's a lot of fun. And, when life throws you lemons, turn it into lemonade. And that's how this Business Renovator came about. So thank you for being here, Roy. We'll have you.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
We'll do some more voodooism.
Anytime.
All right, my friend. Wow, wasn't that fun? I had fun. Well, that's part of my theme song, right? Have fun, get shit done. I'm the one. Anyway, that all came out from a connection of somebody who I met about 5 years ago. And him and I collaborated and came up with an affirming declaration. And we turned it into my intro and outro. So with that, I'm going to say that's a wrap for today. And we'll catch you on another version of the Business Renovator.
I get shit done, I have fun. It's my time and I'm the one. I'm breaking